All right, well, hey there, folks. I'm Meteorologist Matt Barrentine, and I left the volume up on my TV here, so I got to switch that down so we don't hear an echo. All right, so I'm in our Gulfstream Live Center, and we're taking a look at a few things. Talked about the possibility of a cool down. That's going to happen. It's going to take a little bit of time first till it happens, so we got to get through this week, essentially. Into the weekend, temperatures will begin to cool off. We'll have some better conditions then. But until then, it's going to remain on the hot side. And you can see here through the rest of this week, upper 80s, right around 90 degrees. The average is 84 at this time of year, so, we're a good bit above that. The good news here, and there is some good news. I don't know if you remember from, I guess, just a few years ago, back in 2019, the first 5 days of October, we set records every single day. We were just on fire. And considering how this year has been, it's almost surprising that we're not, going to, get up there to these kind of temperatures. We're still going to be hot. We're going to be up around 90, above average, but we're not going to touch these records that we set just a few years ago. So these are safe, which is good news. We don't want to, when we've seen plenty of 98s this year, we certainly don't want to see them in October. So that's what we got going here. That was back in 2019. Thankfully, we are not repeating that from 4 years ago. All right, and see, something pops up in here. Sorry, every time I move away from the computer, there's like pop-ups all over this computer. All right, so I wanted to talk about this because we always want to when's that cool air coming in? Yeah, we're going to start seeing things change by this weekend. Here's how October goes when you just look at the averages. Obviously, we're above the average right now, but this is where we usually start on October 1st, 84, 64. 84 in the afternoon, 64 in the morning. By October 31st, the normals are 75 and 52. So there's a big turnaround by later in the month. So October's a month of changes. Now, there's a lot of ups and downs to go before you get there, but looking at what we're going to see in the long-range forecast, which I'll show in a minute, we will eventually see that cooler air beginning to move on in, at least some less hot air. I want to show you this too. This is really interesting, what's going on over in Louisiana. And we're in a drought right now, but it's even worse in Louisiana. In fact, these are the numbers. Got level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drought. Exceptional, 54%. So 54% of Louisiana right now is in an exceptional level 5 drought. Another 32% is in an extreme drought. So nearly the entire state, nearly 90% of the state is either level 4 or level 5 drought. What's happened in Louisiana, you've probably been hearing about this, is that the flow of the Mississippi River is really low because of that and because of droughts upstream as well. And salt water, which is denser than fresh water, has begun to push up the Mississippi River here into the New Orleans metro area. And the reason why this is a really big deal is because their fresh water that they feed into their municipal systems are pipes that go right into the Mississippi River. And this wedge of salt water is coming up the river right now. And they can't do much to stop it. They're trying a few different things, but they can't really stop it. They can slow it down a little bit. It's what they've been able to do, but they can't stop it. And by October 19th, what day is today? The 2nd, so a little over 2 weeks, it'll hit St. Bernard Parish, and they'll have salt water going into their intake, so their freshwater intake. Sorry, once again, this thing popped up. This is a really annoying system. All right. So then after St. Bernard, it goes up to Algiers, kind of like on the south side of the river from New Orleans on this 22nd. It'll keep working its way downriver to Gretna by the 24th, and then it'll keep working its way to the east bank of New Orleans by the 28th. And then after that, it'll continue its way into Jefferson Parish as well, the western suburb there of New Orleans. This is a big deal. It's going to cause major issues for these folks. Imagine this. For one, obviously the water becomes undrinkable, and once it gets enough salt in it, then that salt will start corroding pipes. And then think about your dishwasher, your washing machine, having to use salt water in those appliances. Obviously, it's going to have a detrimental effect on those household appliances. And the thing is, too, this is going to last probably at least a couple months. They need good rains basically turn the river back around and flush the salt water back out. Right now they're saying until at least January, and it could be longer than that depending on what happens with the actual rainfall. So it's a pretty bad situation there. So if you've been hearing about it, just kind of wanted to give you an explainer, kind of give you an idea of what they're talking about over there in New Orleans. So if you go over there to visit, be aware of that folks are dealing with that here, with that saltwater intrusion. It's a pretty big deal, and it is a pretty big mess, like I said, for folks in Louisiana. All right, so back to your nowcast, what we're dealing with today. It's pretty toasty, 87 degrees. Remember, average high this time of year should be 84. It's 85 over in Pensacola. There's good news here, though. There's the dew points. They're in the 50s. So that means the air is really dry, and we don't have any issues with humidity, so we don't have, a heat index on top of the warm temperatures. Clear skies, nothing but blue skies out there, no rain anywhere nearby, not even really any clouds nearby. You have to go pretty far south into the Gulf, have this easterly flow. It's just been really, really dry here over the last couple of days since the weekend. Futurecast, and I'll show it to you, but, a few high puffy clouds, that's all. Maybe some showers over around New Orleans, not enough to break their drought, but a couple of showers at least, but nothing in our area. Things will be quiet through the day tomorrow. Here's your temperatures tonight, so you got some things to do here after work. It's going to be real comfortable, once again, with very little humidity, so if you need to go out and walk the dog before sunset, something like that, you should find pretty good conditions. Waking up tomorrow morning here on your Tuesday, mid-60s, pleasant start, looking pretty nice to start the day. The afternoon, yeah, I've got 90s on the board for tomorrow. I'm fingers crossed, maybe it's the last 90-degree day of the year. It could be. If we get there. Maybe we'll stop at 89, not even get to 90. Maybe we've already had our last 90 of the year. That would be nice. Over the weekend, we got to 92, I believe. So, and once again, all right, and so through the rest of the week, what we're looking at is those temperatures, once again, up near 90, not much in the way of rain chances. Have a few more clouds by Thursday and a slight chance of rain there. All right, in the tropics, we're watching Philippe, winds of 50 miles per hour. You might remember there was a storm called Rena as well. Well, what happened with Rena and Philippe, they decided to get too close together, and when they did, Philippe just tore apart Rena. Rena lost, and Philippe is the storm that's left over. And sometimes with those, we've had it happen a few times over the years. It's very rare, though. When two storms get close together, I know always people will post on Facebook, oh, it's going to create one big superstorm. No, when they do that, they interact with each other, and they actually disturb each other's, circulations, and it weakens both of them. One of them flat out died. The other one still pretty weak, only 50-mile-per-hour winds. Now that Rena is gone, it's going to have a chance to start cranking back up a little bit, but we're still just talking about a Category 1 hurricane as it goes way off into the Atlantic. So no worries there. And the great news is no worries in our local tropical waters here in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. Nothing happening there. The model's not showing anything happening there anytime soon, so we are good out in the tropics as far as we are concerned. An issue we've had the last few days is that it's been hot. I mean, for me, the very beginning of October or the very end of September is the best time to go to the beach, right? Because it's kind of our locals' time to go to the beach. There's less crowds there, and then water is still warm, and then you don't have quite as much humidity, so it's just more comfortable to be out on the beach, but the water's warm enough to swim. The last few days, though, we've had some pretty rough water. We get a good easterly fetch, a good easterly breeze. That really stirs things up with the rip currents, and that's why we've seen high rip current risk the last couple of days. It does come down to moderate Wednesday and Thursday, but I do want you to be careful if you're going to the beach. Check the local beach flags and just be wary out there. Anytime there's an easterly flow, that tends to make things, just because of the way our coastline is oriented, it tends to make things a little bit nasty in the surf zone. So just something to be aware of. All right, so I need to get you to some of the good stuff here. We've been talking about it a lot, that we are going to see a cool down. When is that going to happen? Well, we've got to get through the week first, okay? We got to get through Friday. Then on Friday, a front's going to come through. Rain chance you see there, 30%, not great. So I know it's not a drought buster kind of front. But look at the weekend. We go from upper 80s to low 80s. And Sunday, we'll be real close to having an upper 70s day. We may get to 80 or we may get up to 78, 79 degrees, and that's it. And it'll be a beautiful sunny day. So it won't just be like a 79-degree day because it's raining all day long, which can happen to us in the summertime. It's going to be just a nice day. 50s in the morning, around 80-ish in the afternoon. Beautiful stuff there. And let me do this. So you pull up the, this is probably even more important. Like, yeah, this time of year we can get those little cool-offs, but what will sometimes happen is that the temperatures will just shoot back up after a couple of days of nice weather. Does not look like that happens here. We'll still be in the low 80s through much of that following week. So it looks like we've, like I said, if we hit 90 here tomorrow or Wednesday or Thursday, it'll probably be our last 90 of the season. That's my thinking right now. Looking at the long range forecast, I don't see us bouncing back to being that hot. Now, yeah, I might get back to the mid-80s, but mid-80s are different than getting to 90. So, and once again, low humidities. The unfortunate thing I'm looking at in those long-range forecasts, rain chances still are not good. Our drought will still continue to be a problem. We'll still have to do some watering of the yards, all that kind of thing. So that's going to continue to be a problem, but at least when you cool the temperatures off, you have less problems with evaporation, and when you water your yard, less of it will evaporate. So that's a good thing for us here. So that is what we're looking at here on the 10-day forecast. Hope you had yourself a good afternoon, a good day so far. Love to hear from you when watching Fox 10 News at 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to be there. Love for you to join us and get more details on your forecast. For now, I'm meteorologist Matt Barrentine. Have yourselves a wonderful day.